That makes me excited to be a part of a community that cares and wants to see change. We're back with our panel of experts, people who have dedicated their lives to helping those on the margins of our community that have found themselves among the homeless or hidden homeless population. Now, I want to start with you, Corrine. We kind of cut you short earlier on. Tell us about, we want to talk about solutions now. Tell us about what Helping Hands is able to do.
Well, we come alongside some of those who are living in poverty, whether it's actually living with homelessness, hidden homelessness, or just struggling to make ends meet. Imagine what it would be like, whether you have a home or not, to have to take from the little bit of money you have for food so that you can go buy hygiene items. And this is particularly difficult for women who at certain times cannot avoid hygiene items. Yep. So we try to help meet the tangible needs of those who are struggling with poverty so that they can use what they do have for the things that are not being covered for them, like a roof over their head or in some cases a sleeping bag. And we provide those things also. So we have a free clothing store that and where we also disperse hygiene items and things like that. And we really are working intentionally to try and make connections within the neighborhood and with other agencies. And I think that that's going to be integral at building solutions, is if everybody who is working, all the different organizations, work together, pool their resources, and tap into one another's gifts and talents.
And you're located in the Hamilton area. I just read a amazing stat that 80% of people who access food banks in Hamilton cannot pay the rent.
Yes.
So it's either food or it's rent.
Exactly.
Each month.
Yeah.
Jesse, you kind of alluded to that as well. How do we work together as a community? Talk about what Yonge Street Mission is able to do in partnering with other organizations.
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of things of knowing how to even just gauge how to engage with the community and understanding what are the assets that each one has to offer. You know, I think the main thing is as I was talking about the silos and kind of coming out of that, knowing how to have on-ramps and off-ramps into different organizations within a community so it feels like a seamless transition between one place to another. Like imagine if you're someone who is homeless and the organizations are working so well together that you don't even know that you're walking in different organizations, right? I know that sounds like an ideal situation, but you know we're doing that in Regent Park. We're trying to work with mental health practitioners, with street-involved youth in our Evergreen Center over there, and trying to make it feel like a seamless process for them. And I think that's a really important aspect in that system navigation and just walking through that and making it easy for people.
And Dion, we've known each other for quite a while. You've been working in this area for many, many years. And so how do you see, you know, with your work with Salvation Army, what can we do? What are some of the solutions we need to look at?
Yeah, what we know for sure is that the end of good social work is not more social work.
Yeah.
It's connecting people with community. So one of the things we've been trying to do out of our shelters is a program we call Causeway, thecauseway.ca. You can check it out. I'm really excited about it. The idea is when someone moves out of our shelter, we're housing about 25 people per month out of our shelters off the street into their own place. We realize that when people come back to us, which we call recidivism, the number one reason for that, and now we have research that proves what we already knew, the number one reason over 90% of people is because of loneliness. So for us, we're trying to connect people who move out of our shelters into communities just like the ones we live in, and with the church. We've been told there's thousands of churches in Toronto. All these people who sit in the pews, who claim to worship Jesus, and we're saying, well, why don't you come alongside someone? You don't need to sell all your stuff. You don't need to come down and work on the streets. You can be a soccer mom, and if you have 1 hour extra a week to come alongside someone and have coffee at Tim Hortons or whatever, and befriend someone, that I think would really cut down on loneliness and recidivism. That's where the church can come in, just things like simple things. It's not rocket science. You don't need 14 years of social work school to figure this out. It's loving God and loving neighbor. That's what we've been called to, and it can work, and it does work.
And I heard, you know, Tim Richter spoke earlier on. He was talking about we need to move away from managing homelessness, and I'm hearing all of you saying, What does that mean, moving away from managing homelessness?
Yeah, I think it's about the idea of actually getting, like, street-involved youth. 75% of the street-involved youth go back into homelessness, back and forth, right? And so imagine that, 75% go between 1 to 5 times back into homelessness. So we need places of belonging, just like what Dion is saying, and places where people can be received into there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have run out of time. Thank you so much. This is such a great conversation. We always get cut short, but I cherish all of you, and I thank you for your input on such an important topic.
Thank you for taking the time for it. Yes.